bugging you to get out of the house and get some exercise. But you've got your own way of doing things. You're your own person. You don't need to follow the crowd or the rules. And the last people you want to be like are your parents.
Johnny, tell them what they want.
Hello, and welcome to Talk New York. Men and women have been trying to understand each other for years. Some experts have even suggested that the root of our misunderstanding of each other stems from the fact that we may be from two different planets. However, my guest today says it is much simpler than that. They have written a book entitled What Brothers Think, What Sisters Know, giving us the real deal on love and relationships from the African American perspective. Denene Millner is a reporter for the New York Daily News and the author of The Sisters' Rules and co-author of What Brothers Think, What Sisters Know. And Nick Charles is a reporter for the New Jersey Star-Ledger and co-author of What Brothers Think, What Sisters Know, published by William Morrow. Please welcome to the show.
Thank you.
The title, when I saw it, said, What Brothers Think, What Sisters Know. I said, are we really going to know the truth? Is it about the truth?
Well, we try to keep it about the truth. The title, I take a lot of ribbing about the title. I like to say that there were more women in the room when they chose the title. So,
oh, wow.
Just to go along with it. But it's not to be
So how did the brothers come on top? We should have switched.
That came first, right?
But, they're saying that we just think and the women know.
Okay.
But there are things that I think that we also know, and those get covered in the book too.
You know what? This was interesting because, and I really would have loved What Sisters Think, What Brothers Know, because it seems that there are a lot of books out there written from women's perspective. We trying to understand men. Why is that so? Why do we want to get into their heads and they don't seem to care what we think?
Actually, that's why the book is called What Brothers Think, What Sisters Know. Because what originally was intended with the book was that it just be called What Brothers Think.
Okay.
And that I just ask him a bunch of questions and he just answer them and tell women yet again how they should think and react to men. And I thought that it was important that black women have their say to be able to get their opinion in, because it's important that we get the dialogue going instead of just preaching to one or the other. So that's how it ended up with Sisters
So
Know.
what is the main purpose? Who's your targeted audience for this?
Anyone who's ever been in love, wants to be in love, or is in love. The book obviously is written from an African American perspective because it's what we know.
That's who we are.
But the book is extremely universal. It could have easily been called What Men Think, What Women Know.
Right.
It's very much about the sexes and how we relate to one another don't relate to one another as human beings.
Right.
But there are specific chapters in there that deal with issues that are very specific to the
That is an
African-American
interesting
community.
point, and I don't mean to divert, but I just want to go to your first book, which is The Sisters' Rules, which actually came about from reading The Rules,
Right.
the other one.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
we just say the other one.
Right.
Okay, but according to you, the black woman needs certain kinds of rules.
Right.
So, do we have a different way of loving, of being with each other?
I don't think that it's so much a different way of loving or being with one another as it is the baggage that comes in African American relationships. I think that there are a lot of things that happen between black men and black women that do not occur with white men and white women. You don't have to turn on the TV at night and see a white man walking across the television screen with his hands behind his back and everyone assume that, oh, there goes another white guy, you know, going to jail. But when you see that happening with a black man, it turns it into this whole other thing. That's another black guy gone, and there are no black men out there for women. And when a white woman gets a really successful job, a successful position, I don't think that people perceive her to be as intimidating as an African American woman who might have that same position. And so when a black man and a black woman sit down at the table together with all of these preconceived notions, the things that were suggested in the original rules would sort of blow the relationship up rather than help it. And so I thought that it was important that we talk about how those kinds of rules would not work for an African American woman and African American man. And after the sisters rules came out, quite frankly, there were a lot of white women and a lot of white men who were saying, well, these rules, the sisters rules, make a way more sense in terms of how you treat a human being than the other ones do. So just like what brothers think, what sisters know, the sisters rules is very much steeped in, how we relate to one another as men and women, black men and women. Right. But, it's universal as well.
Isn't dating a game?
Well, dating, I think you're trying to present yourself in the most positive way. For some people, that may be engaging in a bit of trickery or deceit sometimes, because maybe there's not a whole lot that they have that would be considered positive. So, I think that people are trying to downplay the negatives, to play up the positives, to make the sale, as a friend of mine said. So at times that may involve some game playing. You don't want to play your hand too early. You don't want to seem too eager. The man or the woman doesn't want to seem like they're too desperate. So there are a lot of different things that you do to give the other person what you think is going to be the best impression of yourself. And sometimes that may involve being a little bit untruthful, or in terms of, if you really want to call that person, you really want to talk to them, you wait 2 days before you make the phone call rather than do it right away, so that they don't get the wrong impression. I mean, hopefully it's stuff that a month or two down the line you can laugh about. But in the beginning, there is probably a little bit of maybe too much gameplay.
There's too many do's and don'ts that you really don't know. I mean, I think one of the things that you and I spoke about was sleeping with a man on the first date. I mean, gosh, this is the biggest taboo. I mean, when I was growing up, you just don't do that. But you saying that it doesn't matter when you sleep with a person.
Well, what I said is that in terms of, if you sleep with a man on the first date, it's not going to give him the best impression of you. That is certainly true. Okay. But what I was saying is that, on the other hand,
even if it's good. Even if you show your very best,
if you put in your best foot forward.
Right, best foot forward. You did everything.
Well, he's going to want to keep coming around.
Okay.
But for those women who think that they need to hold out for months and months and months to make him fall in love with you or something, I think what I was saying in the book is that that's not the way that men think. We think we're going to stick around to eventually get it if it's being held out, but that's not going to make us fall in love with her or like her more. The things that go into us falling in love are the kinds of the personality traits that she brings, the kind of person she is, the things that we pretty traditionally expect to go into two people falling in love. The sex is just going to be that. It's going to be sex. It's going to be us waiting to get the sex. And waiting a little bit longer, waiting a couple of months longer, is not going to facilitate all that other stuff.
And isn't that messed up? Because we've been taught for the longest that, the longer you hold out, the more chance you have of getting the guy. And so, to hear a man saying, you know what, that's dumb, it doesn't matter, it's not going to work, is refreshing.
It is, but I was still, when I read it, I said, I don't know, because when you're seeing somebody, you want, like you say, you want to put your best foot forward. But some of us, you know, the belly may be a little bit out there and whatnot. And you think about all these things. The guy thinks that you are fantastic. They see the outside, but they haven't seen you naked. And you think about, well, what if I take off my clothes? And isn't it better for us to be friends first? Then at least you have something to hold on to when you see the stuff and it's not all that.
Right.
You know, that's the
Yeah.
logic.
Well, friends in terms of, you know, developing some kind of rapport and feeling comfortable with each other. I think that would help, you know, further the relationship and help us feel like this may be somebody we want to spend time with. But you're saying if we see flaws early on, we might run away.
Yeah.
And if you wait until we
there
like you
are
first.
so many young people out there looking very good, and you know, Clinton just let us know that Monica was half his age and he was able to get some. So you guys have, from everything we know, you have better chance than we do, right? But tell us how you met, because that was very interesting. You know?
We were both reporters, political reporters. I for the Daily News, he for New York Newsday at City Hall here in New York City. And you know, at City Hall they have this one room where all the reporters work together. And so we were competitors, and you know, we were just around each other all day, every day, out on stories together, sitting in the office together. We would go to lunch together, and we just made a really strong bond as friends. For about a year, we were really, really good friends. And then after a while, I started looking at him like, hey, this isn't a bad gig.
That's right. Okay.
So yeah, so we were friends first.
Right. Did it help?
Yeah, definitely.
It helped
helped.
tremendously, tremendously.
I think that women, you know, maybe slightly deluding themselves if they think that, you know, these flaws that you think that you're hiding, or that we're going to be so shocked when they take their clothes off and we see like a different person. I think that, you know, we pretty much know in the beginning, you know, after spending a little bit of time with her, you know, what the package is going to look like.
Yeah, you sure these women take off more than just the bra? They peel off the eyelashes, the hair comes off, everything. Say, hey, leave some for later, okay?
But you know what? On that point, though, I think that for every woman, it should be important for her not to sleep with a guy, not to play that game of, if I hold out, then he'll like me more, but so that you feel comfortable.
Okay.
I don't think that you should sleep with a guy after 3 dates, or after 10 dates, or after 1 date, if you're not feeling comfortable about it for yourself. If you want to sleep with this man, then that's your decision. Be comfortable with it.
But don't we go through that pressure? This is a good-looking man, good-looking black man with a job, okay? He has something going for him. I've known him for 2 months. I know what he wants. I know what I want. I'm not sure. I'm not in his head yet. I don't know if he really likes me. So I want to check him out a little bit more. But I don't know if I wait a little bit more, maybe somebody else will come in there and I'll lose my chance. So
but see, this is what. Yes, that is certainly a concern, but I think that it's more important that you feel comfortable, since he's saying that,
I'm saying that
it's not wholly dependent whether I stay with you, if you sleep with me now or 2 months from now. It's not wholly dependent. I'm going to stick around, you know, until I can get some.
Because I think what happens a lot is that the women, because they held out and then it happened and then he left, you know, they're thinking that he left because they slept with him. He left because he intended to leave anyway, and he was just hanging around just to get some.
Exactly.
That's me. That is me.
It's their way.
Are black women evil? Are we angry?
Well, this is one that we argue about all the time. You know, I don't think we'll ever come to agreement on it. I think that a lot of brothers feel like they get too much attitude out there. The black women that you encounter, no matter where you are, there just seems like there's this angry kind of mask, a certain hostility that seems like it's just right there at the surface, ready to be thrown at you. And, you know, we just wonder why. It almost seems like every brother that approaches them is looked upon as some kind of, you know, bad person. And, you know, it makes you feel kind of depressed sometimes to think that, you know, I'm being presumed or judged as some evil entity before she even gets to know me. So, you know, now she's going to get...
But it works the same way with sisters. You know, certainly there are sisters out there who are quick to tear you down, quick to let you know what's on their mind, and perhaps may not do it as nicely as they should. But the fact of the matter is that that's only some of them. It's not all of us. And I don't think that there's anyone on this earth who loves black men and respects black men and takes care of black men more than African American women. And so, you know, when you think of that, and then you have all of these brothers standing up and making this blanket statement about black women.
But he made an interesting point, though, in the book. When black women go out, they go out in groups, and they stand in groups. And if you dare go, and your shoe is not nicely polished, you're going to go with something.
You're going to get it.
I mean, that is scary. I can understand. That is really scary.
Sure, but I don't think that's any different from the way a group of white women would approach a white guy walking up to them whose shoes may not be, you know, up to par, or he may not look good. That's no different from any woman in any
No,
race.
we expect them to be evil to us.
Who?
White women.
Oh, no, but I'm saying you know, the point was that, you know, when there's a group of black women standing together and a guy who may not have it all together walks up, that group of women will, you know, quickly read him and address him and say, get away. But I'm saying that I don't think that's any different from any other race of women standing together with their friends when a guy approaches them that they're not necessarily, you know, comfortable with, or don't think needs to be so bold or presumptuous to come up to them, that it's any different. But for some reason, we as African American women take the brunt of, you know, well, she's, you know, I get it at work, you know, because
Is it
I
a certain
speak up.
type? Is it a certain type of women, though? Because there's certain type of, you know, there are different classes, if you will, and there's certain women who are naturally loud. You know.
Well, I think that you know, some people may think that there's some socioeconomic element to it. You know, that, you know, you go into the hood and women are going to be more likely to get up in your face and be loud and
tell you
yeah, and rude and stuff. I don't know. I mean, I've been around some pretty well-to-do, classy women who were just as mean and unpleasant. So, you know, I don't
have
know
my
about that.
moments, but that doesn't mean that I'm an evil person.
Right.
It just means that you caught me at a bad moment.
But I would start checking myself, though. I started thinking, when I saw that, I said, he could be right, you know. One other point, too, that you brought up about a woman doing a lot better than her mate. And I think you make reference to Stepman and...
Stedman, yeah.
Right, man, in the book. Is it really such a problem?
Well, I mean, apparently it is. The number of women who claim that men are afraid or intimidated by their success seems, we see it pretty much everywhere we go. You know, somebody raising their hand, and like last night we were in Brooklyn and this woman said that that she feels like she has to play down her accomplishments because she feels like she'll chase the men away.
Is it the
otherwise.
accomplishment, or is it the attitude that comes with the accomplishment?
I think it's the attitude that comes with the accomplishments. That when I was out on tour for the Sisters Rules, there were a lot of sisters who would stand up in the middle of the readings and, you know, put their hands on their hip and start rolling their neck and saying, black men just can't stand up and you know, handle me. I have this degree and I live in this area and I drive this kind of car. And it's like, okay, it's pretty obvious why you don't have a man, because you are not only throwing your accomplishments in his face, but you're making it seem as if someone is less than you because they don't have what you have.
Right.
So, you know, maybe he's not intimidated, maybe you're just simply intimidating. But this sister had a really good point. You know, she was clearly a very nice person, clearly a very intelligent person, clearly about making herself the most independent black woman that she could possibly be. And she felt that that was a problem for black men. Are they intimidated because she, you know, decided to go and get another degree?
Right.
Are they, you know, intimidated because she's going to be doing a job that, you know, may perceived as being higher than his? And I think that's a really real assumption for black women to make, that the black men are afraid to, you know, step into a relationship with someone who might have more than them.
And there's a lot of baggage. This is where our baggage really does us harm, because, brothers are real sensitive to a lot of this stuff. I mean, we get affected by all these images that are paraded on the TV screens in our communities about, how badly we're doing, all that we're more likely to
end up in jail.
Yeah, in jail and, have encounters with the criminal justice system, all that stuff. And so we feel like our women and everyone else has certain expectations of us. And we're constantly, in subtle and not so subtle ways trying to fight against those expectations. So, if I might internalize that by feeling like I always need to dress up so that people won't think that, I'm some kind of hoodlum or something. Brothers deal with it in different ways. And when you get into a relationship, you are afraid that this woman is going to be thinking has this whole set of assumptions that she's bringing to the table about you. And, one is that you're going to be, you can't hold a job, or, that you're not going to want to commit. You're not going to be there to support her, all these different things. And so, because we internalize all that, I think that a lot of times the idea that this man is going to be less than we are in terms of a career and salary and all that stuff, makes us walk to that particular issue with even more trepidation, and perhaps have the wrong reaction when we find out that she has a certain number of accomplishments, and we think that she's expecting us not to be able to deal with it. So we may try too hard to show that we can hang, and that causes problems. So it brings up a whole lot of issues that.
And I think you said something about when she wrote the book and she became successful. Some of your friends.
Yeah, people would, I mean, and women like to say that,
How does that do to your ego, though?
Women like to say that everyone is comfortable, that they're comfortable with, making more, accomplishing more than their men. But I think in some ways, no one is really used to it, and so people will tease you about it. So I would have people teasing me, oh, how does it feel, to have such a successful wife, or she's making all the money now, she's taking care of you, like, are you a kept man now, and all that kind of stuff.
And that would bother me.
Right.
It would bother me because he is a talented individual in his own right. I'm not the only one who writes in this family. He, I think, can write circles around me, and to have people stand up and, disrespect him like that, it's not cute. I didn't find it.
And actually, to read his accomplishments here,
You don't need to read it.
he has been a newspaper reporter since 1986 and worked at New York Newsday and the Dallas Morning News before joining the Star Ledger in 96, and as an education writer. You have also written short stories, and one was published in the Ballantine Anthology, and it's called Brother Man, The Odyssey of Black Men in America, which won the 1995 American Book Award. So you are very talented,
awesome.
But I know that if your friend is teasing you, even if you have your self-confidence, you're a woman, she would throw it on your face, but it would do something to your ego as a person.
It's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy, and it's kind of funny that that people will have that reaction. Women will do the same thing. Women will make little kidding comments about it, because the expectation, I guess, is that the man is supposed to be more accomplished than the woman is, and so when things are turned around, then it may not be easy for a lot of people to deal with it. So brothers who have some insecurity issues might not have the best reaction to those situations.
Right.
He handled it well, though.
Yeah, it sounds like, but what also intrigued me about the book is the fact that it's a he said, she said kind of thing.
Yes.
You bring up your piece with a question, and then he responds to it based on that. And there was a point where you were bench pressed somewhere. I said,
that was in the chapter about skeletons.
I know, and I was reading that and I said, that was so important, because it's true. When you talk to a guy and you thought you're going to be honest, you never know. You may be on the subway, meet an ex-boyfriend, and he may be smiling at you and say, who is this? So, I come clean and say, I did this and I did that. You guys don't want to know. You really don't want to know.
We want to know, but we don't. We want to know, but we don't want to know. I mean, it's hard for us to deal with it when we find out. But if somebody's going to tell me, I want to hear hear it.
I want to know you did something. I want to know you have
Right.
some kind of experience
That's how
that you
women
know
are.
you're gonna do the right things.
That's
that
right.
somebody has
That's right.
trained you or
That's
something.
right.
Yeah, I mean,
but you don't want to know.
I guess in a vague kind of way, we want to know you have experience, but we don't want to hear about the details of it, you know.
But you know, the problem is that, you know, like, I wasn't giving him details on ex-boyfriends and what I did with them and what position I did it with them. I was telling him something funny. You know, like, I used to weigh 98 pounds in college and I still thought I was fat. But, you know, like, some of my friends thought it would be funny to bench press me.
Right.
And what did I say that for? He just lost it to this day. And I know I told him that story years ago, and he's still, you know, like, and she used to be bench pressed by
Right.
the football team, and I'm like, it wasn't the football team, it was like a couple of people.
Oh, they
And-
didn't pass you around.
I find that very, very interesting that whenever you come out, I mean, a picture got me in trouble. Just a picture. Where were you? Some kind of conference with who? Some guy you don't know. Let's move on. And it's like every day. Do you know you have a lot of guy friends? Who was that person? You know, please move on. I was not an angel, and you know that I did something. That's how I know how to, you know, open my arms and do all those kind of
Wait, what was
schoolgirl thing. Open my arms. My arms, right here.
Mine have to go.
We're gonna run out of time, but you also mentioned about commitment. That's a big issue with our men. A man will live with you for 10 years and doesn't want to commit. What is it about that?
Well, I mean, what I say is that every man gets there eventually. There comes a time when you realize that, you know,
There's a
you
fast
wanna,
track and there's a slow track.
Well, there's a fast track and a slow track for women. For women that we meet, there's some women that right away you know that this is the one. There are other women where it kind of dawns on you gradually. But what I meant was that there's all of us get to a certain point. Where
I was jealous. I wanted the fast track, and I don't think I've had one.
there comes a point when we all decide, okay, we need to settle down and grow up. But it just takes some of us a lot longer to get there. And I'm in the book I talk about when we're younger with the sneakers. You know, the story of you go out, you know, you save your money up and you just pick out the most perfect pair of sneakers that you're going to buy. So you go and run to the store and get them, and, you know, you come outside and all your friends are like, wow, you know, those are great sneakers. And then 5 minutes later, the kid down the street comes walking down and he got a better pair. You know, he had the extra $10 for, you know, even the higher pair of sneakers.
Right. And damn, now
and you're
you're
like,
too-
yeah, I committed, I bought these sneakers, and now, you know, I got to live with him having better sneakers for the next
Right.
6 months.
Why did you choose the style that you wrote this book in?
We thought that it was important for it to be conversational, that we wouldn't sit here and preach to people. We're not PhDs. We're writers who are in love and think that we have something to say about being in love. And these are our opinions. We wanted, the book is broken up into 30 chapters, and in each chapter I ask him 2 questions, he asked me 2 questions, and we just sort of conversate, which is something that most people don't do in their relationships. So we were just hoping that and during the course of reading this book and seeing the conversation between us flow back and forth, that the readers would do the same
And we
thing.
try to write it in a style that's, you know, kind of loose. There's a lot of colloquialisms and slang and stuff in there, but it's not Ebonics. But it, you know, it's English. Most people will be able to understand it if you can read English.
Well, we're almost running out of time. What do you want people to take from this book when they read it?
Well, I'd like to take for them that, one, that you can disagree without being disagreeable, which is something we say a lot. You know, there are a lot of things in here that are going to cause arguments or debate in your household, which is good because you're going to find out important things about each other. And you learn that even after you disagree, you can just kind of move on and realize, okay, I found out something about him or her, and it may be something that I don't agree with, but that's okay.
Absolutely.
What about the sisters?
I think that what we need to do is what we've always said that we needed to do, is to communicate, and that's what we're doing with this
Okay,
book.
on that note, thank you very much. What
you.
Brothers Think, What Sisters Know, published by William Morrow Denene. Thanks for being here.
for
Nick,
having
thank
me.
you
Thank
very
you.
much for being here. This is Yajiman Okwampa for Talk New York. Thanks for watching. Good night. We are having so much fun. The time just flew by.